Today we're going to be talking about cost of living. Now this is a little bit of a tricky subject because of course it's dependent so much on how large your family is and what kind of diet you eat, whereabouts you want to be living, and everybody's situation is different. But what we'd like to achieve through this video today is to maybe just bring some things to the forefront that maybe you haven't thought about budgeting, and also some resources as to where you can find information to help put your personalized budget together. So I guess the first question is, where are you going to live and what is that going to cost you? So Shane, maybe you want to share a little bit about rents and what you can get out there at the moment.
Sure. So yeah, the biggest topic is when you're moving to a country, you want to know cost of living, how much it's going to cost you, if it's in your budget, if it's affordable to actually live in that country. So one of the big things is rent. As coming across as an expat, if you're coming across from France, from South Africa, from the UK, from the US, wherever, you want to have a comparative kind of property that you're used to staying, that standard of living. And there are different levels of properties. So we're looking at some entry level, some high end. We've posted a few high end properties on the YouTube videos. And we're gonna start chatting about entry-level properties as well. So if anything from a 2-bedroom apartment that's going to be upstairs to a 3-bedroom home with a property with a garden. A lot of people have animals that they're going to be bringing over, cats and dogs, or you just have kids and your kids want to be in a garden where they can run around and play. So we're reading off a sheet here, so excuse us if we are looking down. But yeah, so you're looking at anything from a 3-bedroom house. You can start at about 30,000 rupees, a property with a garden. It won't be modern, it'll be semi-modern. And most of the properties in Mauritius, the next big question is, are they furnished or unfurnished? So most properties are actually furnished. When we moved over here, we brought off a 20-foot container of furniture that we arrived with, and it was actually really hard to find an unfurnished house. There are a few out there, but it's 1 out of 10 that are unfurnished. So one of the things you need to look at is a property. If you're going to bring furniture, we wouldn't suggest bringing old furniture. Rather get rid of it and come across and either buy new stuff, buy your electronics here, and rather go into a furnished property. Then there's nothing to worry about shipping costs and nothing to worry about furniture being damaged or transport costs. So for 30,000 rupees, you can get an entry-level house. And then from there you move up to about 45,000 rupees, you get a really nice house. And then you go up to the 70,000 rupee bracket, is you can start picking out properties that are beachfront. But beachfront properties can range from 70,000 rupees up to about 110,000 rupees, depending on the new build or whether it's an older bungalow on the beach. But living in an average neighborhood, you're looking at a property between 30 and 50,000 rupees a month for a really nice house. Okay, so next we're going to move on to, we're going to talk electricity. At the end of this, we're going to summarize everything, so we'll put a summary spreadsheet so you guys can have that right at the end of the video. Electricity, you're looking at spending between 5,000 and 14,000 rupees a month.
And that's dependent on quite a few things.
Yeah.
Depending for us, when we first moved here, we found our electricity bill was really high, and some of the things that were causing that was we had air cons that were not DC inverted, and they drew a lot of electricity in the summer months.
Pool pumps that are running for excess time. So pool pumps, your number one electrical user in a home, and then also in Mauritius, where we covered it, you also have water pumps which pump the water and keep pressurized in your pipes in the house. So if you have a water leak, that pump can run over and over and over, and that shoots your electrical bill up as well.
Yeah, so there are ways to keep your electricity down. There's also a big drive at the moment for solar to be installed into your homes, where there is a tax refund on that. So there are definitely ways you can be smarter with electricity. So on an average, I would say that 5,000 rupees, we are aircon lovers, and so we tend to run our aircons all year round, and our bill can range in the winter months from 5 to 7, but again, we have DC inverter air conditioners, and so your bill can, in that case, can be up to 14, even more.
Yeah. So we've experienced that. In our previous home, we had non-DC inverter air cons, and also the air cons were a little bit under spec for the size of the room, so they were running all the time, and we got these frightening 14,000 rupee bills. We built our own property after that, so we're in our own house. And we spec the air cons as DC inverter air cons, and our bill came down to about 5,000 rupees a month.
Yeah.
Okay. Water. Water is something that's quite scarce here. There is a water problem in Mauritius with the articulation. So a lot of water gets lost in the piping and in areas, but water is very cheap. We can spend on an average month 500 rupees. That's even with irrigation in your garden, with a swimming pool, topping up a swimming pool. We've got 2 kids and ourselves. We obviously running showers, toilets. So water is really a non-contender. What is expensive is bottled water. So what we have in our house is we have a water dispenser that takes the tap water and filters it. And it's actually one of the businesses we're in. So we actually supply filtered water to homes and hotels and restaurants.
And then gas, we run gas, so a lot of the homes don't have a geyser, so your water is heated through gas, and again that is subsidized by the government. So you pay about 200 rupees for a 12 kilo canister, and we have a few that we rotate. You have to take the gas yourself to either the supermarket or the fuel station, where you can get it swap it out for a full one. There are some homes that have a centralized gas, which have much larger gas cylinders, and then there is a company that will come and change the gas for you.
But those are not.
That's not subsidized.
So it's quite a lot more expensive. So the way we do it, exactly like Joel said, we all have probably about 6 cylinders, and we just keep on rotating them. So when 4 are empty, I run off to the petrol station and I fill them up with gas again, and then we keep 2 that are always running. We use I'd say about 2 cylinders a month. So it's not that bad. If it's 2 cylinders a month, we're probably using about 500 rupees a month in gas. We also have gas on our stove, so we cook with we've got another cylinder on the stove, and then on our Weber gas bra, we also have one, but that lasts about a year. So it's nominal, really nominal fee.
And one of the nice things about having a gas stove is that if there are power cuts, you're still able to use your stovetop for cooking. So that is something that is quite popular in Mauritius, is to have a gas stove. So,
and the thing we can't live without.
ADSL, internet and Wi-Fi,
So in Maslow's hierarchy, you have food, water, shelter, and then you need to add Wi-Fi to that.
Classified as entertainment in our home. So ADSL can range, and it's depending on also the area that you're in, but most of the areas have fiber optic lines, and you can get a pretty good speed. We have opted for 100 meg line.
So we like fast internet. So we stream a lot of our entertainment. We stream through Netflix, Showmax. We even run our DSTV through the DSTV app. So so we need fast internet. We also work from home. The kids do a lot of stuff online. But you can, the 20 meg line or the 10 megs, like the entry level, still acceptable. 20 meg line, then you go up to 50 meg, and then the top of the range is the 100 meg line.
Yeah, so it would range from about 1,000 rupees a month to about 4,000 rupees a month, depending on what speed you're needing. But it's there, it's available if you need it. It's generally quite reliable.
There's no installation cost. You contact telecoms, they come in and put the line in for you, they run the fiber optic, they give you a modem. So there's zero cost for installation or modem. What you would probably need in your house is a Wi-Fi extender. We found in Mauritius the walls are very thick, built with big building blocks, so the Wi-Fi doesn't extend in most of the house. So we have a downstairs Wi-Fi booster, so that the modem's upstairs and it boosts the Wi-Fi downstairs.
And then just coming off of that topic, so in terms of what we choose with our TV channels, we don't have a subscription with DSTV. However,
we used to.
Can. and that would cost you, I think it's about 2,700, depending on the package that you choose. You can have a much more limited bundle, which may cost you 500 rupees, but I think the full bundle is about 2,700 a month.
That's the full package of DSTV. That's everything, and you just got to remember that it streams from East Africa. So it's your East Africa, so you don't get the Cake Net and the Afrikaans channels. You will get the East African channels, but you get all the sport, super sport, which is probably the main thing that we use DSTV for is the sport. But movies and that, Netflix is the standard Netflix charges, as everyone knows, $5 a month. Or so we use Netflix, Showmax, all those apps. Yeah.
Okay, then if you're looking to have somebody working in your home to do the cleaning or caring for the kids, that is something that is very common here in Mauritius. And so this is a difficult one. Often we find that a household will have maybe 2 people working for them, because they'll have a lady who comes in the morning and a lady comes in the afternoon. A lot of the Mauritians enjoy being able to work half-time because they can earn a little bit more money by having 2 jobs.
2 half-time jobs.
Yeah, 2 half-time jobs. So obviously the half-time rate is a little bit higher than a full-time rate. And this can be flexible and different depending on the area that you're in, depending on the demand. But in Black River, Tamarin area, where there are a lot of expats and a lot of demand for help in the home, and
very reliable staff. So
amazing,
friendly, amazing, reliable staff. We've got a lady that's been in our home for 14 years now. She's part of the family. And we also have a gardener that works in our one business, and he also works in our garden, and also an amazing guy, been with us for about 8 years. So yeah, the quality of staff's good. It's always good to just ask for references. So most people in the area will always get a reference from a friend or someone that's been here before, and that's how it's very much a word of mouth market.
Yeah.
Okay, and the costs?
The cost there it varies, as I mentioned, but the minimum wage here in Mauritius is 9,700 rupees a month, and that is for somebody working a 45-hour week. Now that would be quite hard to find somebody who would come and work for that, but that would be your absolute baseline. If you're looking at a part-time employee, my feeling is it's about 100 to 150 rupees an hour that you would have to pay them, plus transport. So one of the things that you do want to consider when you are renting a home is how easily accessible the bus station is to
the transport for the people working in your home. So that becomes an issue if you're renting a property in a far out area. The staff that are coming to work in your home cannot get access to your home, so you would have to get in the car and go pick them up from a bus stop, which is not very convenient. So one of the things when you're looking at renting a home, you need to find out if it's people that are working in your home have access to get to the property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. So the other thing that you need to consider when you're doing your budget is insurance. And that's something maybe you don't think about, but even if you are renting or if you are buying a home, as a tenant, you need to have public liability, so personal and public liability insurance. Insurance in Mauritius is generally not expensive, and so it's not a big amount to pay, but it's important to have it. Then, of course, you are responsible for insuring your own personal belongings, and the landlord is responsible for insuring the building. So they would be responsible for any damage or anything that happens to the building. And
we've covered it in an earlier video where I did an interview with Jean-Marc. And Jean-Marc is our broker. We're happy to put you in contact with him. He handles all our insurance affairs for our business, for our home, for everything. And he puts everything out to tender. So if you need car insurance or home insurance, he goes to the 5 main underwriters and he gets the best quote for you and the best deal. He also checks that the wording and the specifics are correct. So he takes all the homework out of you running around and getting quotes.
Yeah, and he makes sure that you get the right cover that you need. So just to give you an example.
And also if there's a claim, he fights for your claim.
Of course, yeah. And so just to have an example of what that would cost, public liability insurance, of course, it depends on how much you want to be covered for. It can be 2 million rupees, 5 million rupees. It's also dependent on how many staff you have. So if somebody working in your home has an accident or gets injured, it's judging that risk. But as I said, it's not expensive, about 1,000 rupees for the year to have that public liability insurance. And then your belongings, in general, about 3,000 rupees a year for every 1 million rupees that cover that you have. But of course, that would be very different if you had very specific items that you wanted to insure,
like jewelry
and maybe expensive carpets or art, or then of course that's over and above.
Yeah.
But that's just to give you a feel.
Okay, another big one.
Whoa, this is a hard one.
Food. So food in Mauritius is generally expensive. Why? Because everything's important. So everything's air freighted or sea freighted in. It's an island that doesn't really manufacture a lot of its own food. Yeah, there are food manufacturers. There is a bit of fruit and veg that gets supplied from local suppliers. But you can walk into a supermarket and walk down the cereal aisle and you'll see cereals from New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, France, Australia. It's insane. Our selection is amazing. So
you're not going to want for much. The availability is definitely there, but you're going to pay for it.
Correct.
And it's understanding as well that as the island has evolved and the demand for more imported goods has increased, that has been amazing. Since we've been moved here, we battled to get lettuce and tomatoes when we went to the supermarket.
And now we've got like 10 outlets in our area. We've got fruit and veg from South Africa. Yeah, we get grapes from Egypt, peaches from Cape Town, apples from the Eastern Transvaal in South Africa. So we're getting produce from all around the world. So we've been really spoilt. So things have really, in the last 15 years since we've been here, like I said, the evolution has been huge.
Yeah. And one of the things that we do try to do is we try to support the local farmers, because I think that it's important that Mauritius does become more self-sustainable. And if we're not going to be supporting the local farmers, then we're not going to be helping that to happen. So there are some smaller farmers that have started initiatives, and one of them is like Farm Basket, for example, where they try to gather fruits and vegetables that are grown by smaller farmers that are being conscious about pesticides that they're using, and they try and grow organic or hydroponic or natural ways of growing fruits and veg. And you can then order a basket online and they will deliver it to your door once a week.
So this was amazing during lockdown. We had lockdown, we had a lot of stuff being delivered to us. But also the bigger companies like Medine and the bigger companies are also getting involved in doing very low pesticide or zero pesticide growing, and they're in a special green packaging that states that they use no pesticides, and that is available in shops for people that are very health conscious. Like we don't like to eat product with a lot of chemicals in here.
And there is a larger range now of organic products and bio products that are either being imported or companies that are trying to increase that way of farming here and just producing products in that way, whereas before there was very limited that you could get. And that also goes for vegan products, it goes for gluten-free. All those kind of products are beginning to become more in demand. And
there's a lot more health bars and smoothie shops and that popping up on the island. But I think the bottom line is cost.
Yes.
So that's the hard one, to tell you what it's going to cost you for your family to eat. It's how you eat. So if you eat a lot of meat, or if you eat fresh produce, is expensive here. So we did a 7-day, you did a 14-day, I did a 7-day all greens cleanse, and it actually cost us more to eat fruit and vegetables and make all these smoothies and that than it did to eat normally. So we did that, and it was quite a shock to us. The cost to buy fresh produce is quite expensive. So it's hard to give you a number on a budget, but we when we go back to South Africa on holidays, we realize that produce is probably about half the price of South Africa. So you're about 50% more expensive in Mauritius. So when doing your budget, if you're spending 5,000 Rand a month on food, be prepared to spend 10,000 Rand a month on food. So to give an instance, it's hard to say a number out there, but a grocery budget can be anywhere from 20,000 rupees a month to 60,000 rupees a month. If you're eating foie gras and fancy cheeses and lots of red meats, it's going to cost you in the high end. If you eat conservatively, it's going to, chicken's reasonably priced, so people eat a lot of chicken. But red meat is all imported, so all the red meat's coming in from South Africa and Australia, and that is pricey. There are a few new supermarkets that have opened, and the prices have come down. So especially in our area, we've had 2 brand new supermarkets open, and it's been good for competition for the public. So the prices have come down.
So one of the ways that we suggest for you to get a better idea of what your grocery bill would be is there are some online shopping grocery stores that you can go and fill your basket up with the things that you would normally buy and see what that amount comes to. You don't actually have to check out.
So we'll put those in the link below.
And there are a few options there. The other thing is to talk about is wine and alcohol is a really big part of the grocery bill.
So she drinks wine, I don't drink alcohol. So she's the budget on the alcohol division. So all wine and spirits are pretty much imported. Yeah, they make local rums and white spirits from sugarcane, but any alcohol carries 100% duty. So a bottle of wine will be double the price of what it will be in probably France, the UK, or for South Africa. So be prepared to pay for your wine, and a good bottle of wine is expensive. A medium bottle of wine is expensive.
A cheap bottle of wine is expensive.
So that's alcohol. So alcohol, a lot of people, what they do is when they travel abroad, they usually stop at the duty free, and they'll get their quantity that they're allowed to bring in through duty free. I know when I travel on business trips, I always bring back wine for Julia, nice bottles of wine. And she really appreciates that.
And so one of the ways that you can actually look at bringing that down, if that's something that you really enjoy, is a really nice bottle of wine or a whiskey. And there are wine shops or
clubs you can become,
and you can become a member.
And you get discounts.
And then you get every month they will have certain bottles of wine on promotion where it's 25% off, or if you're buying generally from the shop, it's 10 to 15% off. And that's really worthwhile. And then you get to also experience lots of different wines from all over the world.
So there's everything. There's French, there's South African, there's Argentinian, there's Chilean, there's Australian, there's everything. So there's, again, choice is not the issue, it's just the cost.
And so we'll put a link into one of the wine shops where you can go and have a look at the prices and just get a feel for that, if that's something that you want to budget for.
Beer and soft drinks are cheap. So there's 2 things that we found in Mauritius are cheap: is beer, soft drinks, and airtime, cellular airtime, compared to the other countries, very cheap. So those are
that's one thing we didn't actually put in there was the cost of telephone,
mobile phone contracts, very cheap in Mauritius.
Very cheap, easy to get a pay as you go, and calls are relatively cheap. You can get
you can get an all-in package for 1,000 rupees. That's including data. Unlimited data, so for 1,000 rupees you get all in covered.
And that would be for local calls. Obviously, then you would be charged for international calls.
Okay, so the next big one.
If you've got school-going kids, obviously that is something that you need to consider.
This is where you're going to get the fright, is that in Mauritius as an expat, you pay different rates to what the locals pay. So say a local would pay 7,500 rupees for daycare, expat would pay 10,000. So there is a premium because there are waiting lists to get into a lot of the schools, and that's another area we're going to do a video with 1 or 2 principals and go video a few schools for you guys, and we'll also be able to assist you to get kids in, get kids interviewed, and make sure that by the time you arrive here you can get your kids. There's no waiting list, that you're going to actually get the kids a seat in a school.
So for the purpose of this video, we're just going to give you a quick idea of what school fees would be for each different stage of schooling. So if you wanted to put your child into a daycare or a preschool, 5 days a week, as I said, it's going to cost you, dependent on the daycare, 7,500 to 10,000 rupees a month.
Yeah.
Normally there's a registration fee, so when you first put your child into the school, there will be a fee, an admin registration fee, which in a daycare or preschool is normally about 11,000 rupees. It's a once-off fee and it's non-refundable.
Yeah.
So then there's primary school. So once you begin to look at primary school, again, we're talking about private schooling here. Most of the systems are the British system.
Yeah.
And so primary school for a non-Mauritian, you're looking at fees between 16,000 to 22,000 rupees, dependent on the school that you choose. And again, there are those joining fees. And it jumps up quite a bit from preschool to primary school. So for an expat wanting to join one of the primary schools here, you're looking at 55 to 65,000 rupees in joining fee. Yeah. Again, that is non-refundable. It's a once-off fee that you have to pay, and normally they require that you also pay one term up front as almost a deposit that's kept, and then when you leave the school, you either give that one term notice, and that...
The reason for that is that a lot of expats come and go, so the school will have a place for you and they'll put you in, and then you don't give them that month's notice and you transfer within 2 days. And the school actually loses out. So
because they've kept that place for you.
It's a security for the schools.
Yeah, so it's just to bear in mind that when your kids are joining schools, if you've got a 65,000 rupee joining fee, plus you've then got 22,000 rupees times 3 months, you're going to just need a budget for that upfront initial payment. So then secondary schools become the next jump up. And for the non-Mauritian rate, you're looking at about 19,000 to 24,000 rupees a month. And I have said a month because each school also does their billing slightly differently. Some schools will have the school fees over 12 months, and some schools will have it over 10 months or per term.
And you can get discounts if you pay up front, I think.
You can get different, it depends on the school, but sometimes if you pay your full fees up front for the year, you do qualify for discounts. Yeah. So I've just averaged that out over a 12-month period to say for secondary school, 19 to 24,000 a month per child. Some schools,
that's no lunch included. It's just plain school fees. Yeah.
Yes, it does include most of the time your cost of your textbooks and your stationery. Again, each school will be slightly different. And the joining fees for a secondary school. So, for example, if you have put your child into a primary school that has a secondary school division, it doesn't mean that your child automatically moves into the secondary school. You still have to secure a place in the secondary school, and you have to pay registration fees once again, which is about 65,000 rupees for the secondary school. Yeah. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Okay, so that's schooling.
That's schooling.
Not cheap, but the schooling is good in Mauritius. So that's always one of the things where people ask us, how's the schools in Mauritius? They're amazing. Our kids are in a school, in quite a small school. My one son's got, I think, 12 kids in his class to 2 teachers. The other one's got about 15, 16 kids in his class, also 2 teachers. So the hands-on, just that care and the schooling, level of schooling is very, very good.
Yeah.
Okay. So next we're going to move on to is car costs. You're going to need to purchase a car when you get here. Buying a car is not really simple. It's just the registering it, getting it, taking it, getting the roadworthy done. If you buy from a dealer, they do that for you. If you buy from an individual, we did that. We bought the first car from a South African that was leaving Mauritius, and we bought their car, and we had to go do all that. So we learned how to do that the first month we got here, and it was a mission. So buying from a dealer, they handle all that for you. So you have your annual registration costs on a vehicle that under 1200 cc, it's 3,500 rupees a year. Between 1200 and 1600, 4,000 rupees a year. Between 16 and 1800 cc, 8,500 rupees a year. You can see this is getting expensive quickly. Between 1800 and 2.2 litre, it's 10,500 rupees a year. And anything above a 2.2 litre, you pay 13,000 rupees a year registration fee. So the registration fees for your license disc, and that license disc is what you're paying for your road, basically your road tax. Okay. So to run a car, fuel costs around 44 rupees per litre on petrol, 35 rupees per litre on diesel. You can budget for, you do very little mileage. Julia does, I do quite a lot of mileage driving around the island seeing my customers. So you can budget anywhere from 3,000 rupees to up to 10,000 rupees a month on fuel if you're doing a lot of mileage.
Yeah, I just do town driving. I'm mostly local, and I fill up my tank maybe twice a month, and that costs me 2,000 rupees a tank. So if you are just driving around locally, you can budget, yeah, as Jen said, like 3, and then if you're doing a lot of driving, it can be 12 and up.
Okay, so repairs and maintenance, the diesel, yeah, they recommend in diesel vehicles that you service the vehicle every 10,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
Sometimes every 15, depending on the brand.
And the age of the car.
And the age of the car. So like an average small service would probably cost you about 4,000 rupees. And a large service, if you're doing brakes and everything on your car, about 20,000 rupees, depending on if you're doing it twice a year or once a year on the mileage.
Yeah.
Another thing that we haven't put in here is also sports and fitness. So a gym, if you wanted to be a member of a gym, what are the gym rates? About 2,500 rupees a month to be a member of a gym. And then the kids sports clubs range between 1,200 and 1,500 rupees a month for your kids to join soccer, cricket, or any other sports they want to do. There's judo, there's kickboxing, there's karate,
there's surfing.
There's all these camps. The kids there's no lack of activities for the kids.
Yeah, a lot of the activities have to be done outside of school because sports. There's not a lot of sports done in school
because of facilities.
So that's something that you do have to consider, is that if your child is sporty and they want to do a lot of different sports, that's something that you'll have to budget for as well. One thing that we did leave out though on the cars is insurance.
Yeah, so car insurance.
Normally annually you pay it?
Yeah, you pay it on a yearly basis. It's not that expensive depending on the value of your vehicle.
Yeah, the age of the vehicle also, it will be dependent on...
and the insurance companies in Mauritius are really good. When you have these little bumper bashes or even big accidents, they're quick to follow the process, and the payouts are quick.
Yeah, your excess is about 10 to 15,000 normally on a claim.
Rupees on a claim.
And I would say if for a million rupee car, you're looking at you're looking at about 35,000 rupees a year.
Yeah.
Just to give you some idea.
So the last thing we're going to cover, so we don't run on too long, is eating out. So eating out is it's a culture. You want to go to a coffee shop and have a coffee or a croissant, or you want to take your family for dinner. So eating out is pricey in Mauritius. In relative to the earnings, so if you're earning a Mauritian salary, it is expensive to eat out because restaurants are they charge, and the quality of food is good. So there's when we got here, there were very few restaurants. We probably had maybe 2 in our area. We've now probably got about 30. And the options are, if you're a pizza lover and you live in our area, there's about 6 or 7 pizza places, so you've got options. Okay. Yeah. So a nice restaurant, you can expect to pay about 450 to 750 rupees for a main course. Pizza will cost you anywhere from 300 rupees up to 600 rupees, depending on how gourmet it is. A glass of wine will cost you about 250 rupees to 300 rupees per glass. A beer is around 65 rupees to 100 rupees. Going for breakfast will cost you between 300 to 450 for a full English breakfast. And a cappuccino will cost you about 100 rupees.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's us on our cost of living. You guys are welcome to drop us any questions in the comments bar. We'll be happy to reply to you. You can drop us emails on info@rolfinternational.com. And we just ask you again, please like and subscribe to our videos so we can continue making them and providing more information for people that want to move to Mauritius.
Hope that was helpful.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.